Hello all, welcome back. Again, I apologize about last Wednesday. I was standing in water as I was typing the class cancellation notice to you. I apologize. Everything's taken care of. Just a little musty smelling in here, that's about it. Could have been much worse. So, I know we got through some of this. I don't remember where exactly we left off, so I'm just going to take it from the beginning of the section. So the House of Commons chamber is smaller than it should be. There are 650 members. There are 427 seats. As I think I said, it was the chamber was bombed during the Blitz in World War II. During the redesign, to the best of my knowledge, Churchill got involved with that and wanted a smaller chamber that couldn't fit everybody, so the debates will be a little more combative and lively. So yeah, some MPs have to stand. The ones who don't get a seat stand round about here. It can be a very lively, rambunctious place. So if you want to book a seat during normal times anyway, as I said, now there are just don't sit here. Don't sit here, don't sit here. Those signs are up in place of where you see these papers. They put a prayer card on their seat each day in the Commons, like in the United States Congress, begins with prayer. So you put your prayer card in the seat. That's your seat for the day. Nobody can take it. You've reserved it. Again, during normal times. The COVID-19 pandemic has changed the way that they're operating for the time being. So the speaker chairs the parliamentary sessions. We've beat the speakership to death. I won't go into any more about that. And the government and the opposition, they sit opposite each other. The government over here, the opposition over there, and they have to, the rules of the House mandate that they sit behind these red lines. Again, 2 sword lengths. So this dates back to when members of the Commons carried swords. They don't anymore. But if they were respecting the rules, they couldn't get each other with their swords. I mean, it got pretty unruly sometimes back in the day, and today too. So this is, again, a reminder to seek resolution by peaceful means, although that didn't always happen. Now it does. This is one of the, despite it, it's run by human beings. Despite its flaws, it's probably one of the best legislative chambers in the world. So the government sits on the bench to the right of the speaker. The opposition sits on the benches to the left. The speaker sits in this big chair here. And the difference between backbenchers and frontbenchers, the frontbenchers sit, in the front. So, for example, the government sits, that's very badly done, but on this bench, this is called the Treasury Bench. It's where all the ministers with portfolios sit when they're in the House, or very near the front anyway. So the Prime Minister will sit there during question time. The Chancellor of the Exchequer, the Home Secretary, all those people, they'll sit there with their staff and team and answer questions. And then backbenchers, these are just, this is the vast majority of the House. These are just people that don't have a portfolio. They're just constituency, not just, because that's a very important job. They're constituency MPs. They just deal with their constituency, their district. That's about it. So we covered this, I know, in our primary source activity, one of them. So this is the wool sack. This is what Lord Fowler has to sit on. And the wool sack dates back many, many centuries when wool was an important part of the economy. Yes, it's been reupholstered. 1938, I believe, was the date we came up with when we did the in-class activity. So during a session of Parliament, the Speaker will call MPs to speak. They'll the Speaker also keeps order. So do me a favor and click on this. I just did. It just occurred to me, though, that YouTube was going to copyright claim me pretty quick. This will link you to a decent Prime Minister's questions. By no means do you have to watch the whole thing. Get a taste for it. Get your feet wet. So, they discuss everything, anything a legislative body is, around the world is discussing is what they do. So the health, the environment, transport, housing, jobs, education, crime, everything that, comes with the running of a country, and many more things. It's definitely not confined to this. So MPs will also raise issues that their constituents have made them aware of. So they might ask a question during Prime Minister's questions from, that somebody maybe in that picture emailed to the Member of Parliament. I know when at the beginning of Jeremy Corbyn's time as leader of the opposition, he asked the Prime Minister to respond individually to emails. So, like Roberta from Essex, or John from Devon, or Sam from York. It was an effort on his part to try to get the Prime Minister to actually engage with him. To not be seen as blowing off the people of the country. So the Prime Minister has a question time. It's supposed to be a half hour. It hardly ever is a half hour, but it's every Wednesday morning. So members of Parliament come in, and there's an order paper of people who ask a question, have been chosen to ask a question. So any MP, be they a backbencher, the Chancellor, the Exchequer, anybody can ask a question of the Prime Minister and expect an answer. And part of the role of the Speaker is to make that happen, or compel an answer to the best of his ability. And really, if he doesn't want to answer a question, and not just him, but the Prime Ministers before, they won't answer a question. They're very good, as all politicians are, at obfuscating. That is, skirting around issues. So it's not just the Prime Minister, but it's every minister. Every minister from every department, they hold a question and answer session in Parliament, in the House of Commons, at that dispatch box, which is where Prime Minister Johnson, is talking from. And that's on a regular basis, usually monthly, sometimes a little more. So, how do we get a bill to become a law? It's a little bit different of a process. It's largely kind of the same steps, but laws always begin life as a bill. So MPs will debate, they'll vote on the bill. The Lords can amend a bill, and that's really full stop for them. They can offer an amendment. They can't substantively change the bill. They are, powerless isn't the right word, but more limited in the scope of their authority, I guess we'll say. So if MPs don't agree with the bill, the government should change it, or when they say scrap it, that means get rid of it. They have to keep their party, their majority, which is usually the party, happy. If they don't, again, there's probably going to be a vote of no confidence following shortly thereafter. And if a government loses a vote of no confidence, they're honor bound to resign. Does that mean they have to or they're legally compelled to? No. But it's an embarrassing thing that they like to avoid. So the Commons and the Lords have to agree to a bill for it to pass through those two places. They have to come to an agreement on it. Usually the House of Lords, I mean, they've been rebelling a bit lately since the Brexit stuff has come back up, but they usually there isn't a problem. But that's not where it stops. If you remember, the third part of Parliament is Her Majesty. So it goes to Her Majesty for the royal assent right here, and then it's a law. So the bill can, usually it'll start in the Commons, so first reading, second reading, goes to a committee report, third reading. They'll consider amendments, then it'll go over to the Lords. They'll work their process, and it'll go to the Queen. If everything goes well, be given royal assent and become the law of the land. So if you click on this, and this is 3 minutes, 20 seconds, so please watch this. This is a video, again, by the Parliamentary Educational Service, I believe, that will walk you through how a bill becomes a law in the United Kingdom. And again, here. So now we come to question time. See how much you can remember. I do this in class, but we'll move on Monday. Just think of this as a review. What is the name for the person who chairs the debates in the House of Commons? Well, the Speaker. How does a political party get into government? They're voted in. They have a majority. They get a majority of seats in an election. They then form a government. The leader of the party is typically the guy that's going to be appointed the prime minister. He goes and sees the Queen. She asks him or her to form a government in her name, and the party started. There are 3 parts to Parliament: the Lords, the Commons, and the Queen. What is the name given to Parliament in an election result in which no party gets a majority? That is called a hung Parliament. What is the woolsack? That is the red couch blob thing that the Lord Speaker sits on in the House of Lords. Where do the governments sit in the House of Commons? Well, to the right of the Speaker. What is the name given to the second largest political party in Parliament? Her Majesty's Opposition. And it vacillates again between Labour and Conservative, depending on who's in power at the time. What is the name for a draft law before it becomes a law? A bill. Because the bill is not a law until it passes the Commons, the Lords, and receives the royal assent. Who was the last monarch who would not give royal assent for the passing of a law? Queen Anne. 1702. Oh, 1702. Where are the Houses of Parliament? They are in London, located in the Palace of Westminster. When is the only regular occasion that the three parts of Parliament come together? The state opening. What is the name of the official who summons members of the House of Commons to the state opening of Parliament? Black Rod. Please click on this. This is 8 minutes. Again, I do it, but I put this right on YouTube, and they say you have violated copyright, and then I have to change the video, so I figure, why bother? The slides are up on Blackboard. You can click on this just as well as I can. And there we go. That, if you watch all the videos, 1708. I knew I was wrong. If you watch all the videos that are linked in here, that'll be about a 75-minute class. So again, I'm sorry that I couldn't make it on Wednesday. If if the apartment doesn't flood again, I'll be in class on Monday. So have a good weekend, all. Take care. No homework, except if there. I haven't looked at the syllabus in a minute, but if there's a Constitution assignment, do that. But for this, no homework.